Welcome to the Editor's Podcast for the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. My name is Dr. Linda Snetselaar. I am editor of the journal. For this particular podcast, we will be discussing the Dietary Assessment tool, the ASA 24, developed by staff at the National Institute of Cancer. And with me today is Marissa Shams-White, a program director in the Risk Factor Assessment branch of the Division of Cancer Control and Population Sciences at the National Cancer Institute. Dr. Shams-White, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I have just a few questions related to the ASA 24. And the first is, how is the Automated Self-Administered 24-hour dietary assessment tool of value in diet-related research studies?
Yeah, so ASA 24 was developed at NCI to create a standardized 24-hour dietary assessment tool that can be used across studies. So it can be used to collect either dietary recalls or diet records in large-scale nutrition research. And there are also optional modules researchers can add to the recalls or records to capture other aspects of the diet, like supplement use, food source, and items on meal context. And now there's a sleep module too to capture sleep in relation to dietary intake. And you asked how it's a value, and there are several other key points I'd like to share. First, ASA 24 is based on the Automated Multiple Pass Method, or AMPM, which is a reference method for assessing diet used in the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey. Next, as the name suggests, it is also fully automated. And this means that it includes the detailed probes needed to understand what's consumed, in addition to the amounts that are consumed. And with this information, the system can automatically code or associate what is eaten with a nutrient database, and then calculate the nutrients and food group intakes. So as a respondent has completed the dietary assessment, analytical files and reports are instantly available to the researcher. In addition to being fully automated, ASA 24 is also web-based and self-administered. So study participants can run it on their desktops and mobile devices without needing an interviewer, providing considerably more flexibility around when and where the respondent completes the dietary assessment. And just a quick clarification, this tool is available in both English and Spanish in the US version. Additionally, the ASA 24 also creates a respondent nutrition report, and that can provide feedback to participants on how their diet aligns with the dietary guidelines for Americans. So if the researcher or clinician chooses to select this option, it will, again, be automatically generated at the end of the recall or record for the participant. And then last, but certainly not least, I do want to note that it is publicly available at no cost to researchers and clinicians and educators who would like to use ASA 24.
Okay, thank you so much. The article in the journal titled Development of the Sleep Module for the Automated Self-Administered 24-Hour Dietary Assessment Tool, New Opportunities, focuses on a very important aspect of diet-related research that involves sleep. Could you describe why you feel sleep and its inclusion in the ASA 24 is important?
Yeah, so first, we all do need to eat and sleep. They are key parts of our daily lives. And as we highlight in the paper, there's a growing body of literature studying not just how diet and sleep independently impact health outcomes, but also their joint effects. So we need to better understand how they interact, how the timing and quality of each in relation to one another in the context of the 24-hour day may impact our health. So sleep, it may impact how we eat the next day, and what we eat and how late we eat are examples of factors that may impact how we sleep. So therefore, we wanted to create, to update the ASA 24. So it could be a tool that captures multiple dimensions of both of these behaviors together in the same time period. And then I do want to highlight, through our review process, which is, again, described in the paper that you mentioned, we chose to include questions adapted from the Consensus Sleep Diary core questions, addressing the aspects of sleep time and quality, again, capturing multiple dimensions of sleep. I do want to briefly note, we did again feel it was really important to capture sleep in the ASA24, but we did keep in mind participant burden. So, being brief and the brevity was key in this development. And we made sure to limit the content so it would take ideally less than 5 minutes to complete this module. So by doing so, again, we could capture both of these behaviors together and allow researchers to examine them together in their research questions in one widely available tool, while again, limiting the burden on the participant.
Thank you so much, because we often, as we are deciding upon tools to use in research, look at that very important aspect of participant burden. So very appreciative of that. How do you see the ASA 24 and the sleep module being used?
Yeah, as I just mentioned earlier, there is this growing interest in better understanding how the timing and quality of diet and sleep impacts one another and how they together can affect health. And studies focusing on this, on time-restricted eating, chrononutrition, this tool can be useful to help collect the temporal data that's needed for those type of research questions. There's also an interest in 24-hour behavior patterns that include other modifiable risk factors like physical activity and sedentary behavior. And by, again, using this tool with this new module, we can capture these two risk factors, as we just highlighted, the importance of reducing the participant burden in the process. I do want to also highlight that this tool is not limited to one study design. So various research areas can use ASA24, so surveillance, observational studies, interventions, and in clinical settings. Again, it can be used in all of these different areas. To date, about 2/3 of users have reported using ASA24 for research purposes and about 15% for clinical purposes. So there is this wide range of applicability to the research community.
That's so important as we do research with a variety of study designs. So thank you for highlighting that aspect. How might a practicing RDN use this tool in a clinical setting?
That's a great question. And, it can be used, I do want to note, it can be used in any clinical setting, but it's important to keep in mind that there's, this difference between clinical research settings versus for individual advice. And so, this module was developed with surveillance, epidemiological studies, and clinical studies in mind, but we don't know yet how many days of sleep data collection are needed to capture usual sleep and the timing of these behaviors together. So we do need to do some further validation of this tool and conduct further research to, again, understand these different settings and contexts.
What do you see as next steps?
Well, we're very excited about making this new sleep module available to researchers and how it may help expand ASA24's uses in diet-related research. This sleep module was released in November 21. So from then to about mid-August 22, about 680 studies have been created in ASA24, and of those, about 22% have turned on and included the sleep module. So that's really exciting to see that it is being used, and its content and applications may evolve, but that will be based, again, on how it's used in the coming years and on the feedback we get. So if I may make the plug, we always really appreciate and consider the feedback we receive from users.
Okay, great. Any last comments?
Well, first, thank you for this opportunity to share more about ASA24 and the new sleep module. I just want to note to those listening, please feel free, again, to contact us with any questions or feedback. There are also many resources on the ASA24 website, including a demo site, a note about this new sleep module, information about a listserv anyone can join, and there's lots more. So please check it out. It's epi.grants.cancer.gov/ASA24. And if you need to see that link, it is in the paper as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much for this presentation. I feel that this particular topic is really vitally important to nutrition and dietary research. When I look at this type of dietary assessment tool, I see the potential to change many of the aspects in terms of research that we're doing, particularly when we talk about self-reported diet. So thank you so much for the work that you and your colleagues have done in this area. And please know that it's very much appreciated by researchers like me who include in many of the projects that I do self-reported information related to diet. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.